What's up guys, I'm Nico of CAMCRUNCH, and today I'm going to talk about UV filters, or this thing which I have on top of my lens. Now before I start, I just want to say that I know a lot of you, or some of you might comment on why I have a Zeitgeist filter on my camera, on my lens, when this filter isn't, really regarded as a good filter. It's actually $4, and that's because I may do some tests on, good filters versus bad filters, expensive filters versus cheap filters in the near future. So I just bought this to cover up the lens. And if you guys don't already know, I might actually sell this lens, and I kind of want to keep something just to protect the glass, so that it doesn't get damaged. So let's get on to the UV filter. Now, the UV filter was designed during the film days to prevent UV light or ultraviolet light from entering the camera and, into the film, because some of the earliest films were very sensitive to UV light and sometimes would degrade the quality of the film if UV light hit it. Now, as film technology developed, there was no longer need for UV filters because these new films weren't as sensitive to UV light. And now with digital technology, our sensors don't actually record UV light, so we don't really need these UV filters anymore. So why do people still use UV filters? Why are UV filters still sold? I'm sure some of you are interested, especially those that, were sold a UV filter when you bought your camera, or and somehow ended up having a UV filter and you didn't really know what the UV filter was for. Well, there's really only one reason to use a UV filter these days, and that is for protection of your lens. I can tell you from experience that a UV filter has actually saved one of my lenses, and it was my first lens actually. It was a 18 to 135 Nikkor lens, and it fell. Just imagine. And when I picked it up, all the glass of the filter was shattered, but the lens was perfectly fine. I cleaned it off, and it was perfect. And so a UV filter actually saved my lens from shattering. And so that's my experience from it. Whether or not you should use a UV filter, well, that's completely up to you. For me, at least, the UV filter is just a small investment in the long run, for several reasons. One is because you might eventually sell the lens in the future, and you want to keep your lens as protected as possible. 2, UV filters are relatively cheap, and you can buy them used for a good price. You can sell them for that price when you're done using the lens, when you no longer need the lens. So in the end, you're spending $0 for that extra protection. And yeah, it's just a small cost to potentially save you tons of money from having to buy a new lens or having to repair your lens. Now, there is that question about UV filters degrading image quality, and that's what I plan to test in the near future. I haven't had experience of my UV filters degrading my image quality. Of course, I've always used more expensive UV filters in the past, and I've always had pretty sharp images. So to me at least, the images that come out even when I use a UV filter are perfectly fine. I've had tons of nice pictures with UV filters, and so I can't really comment on that. I haven't done any scientific testing, but sharpness isn't everything, and if it does degrade your lens slightly, it doesn't really matter that much, unless of course it's a cheap filter and it does happen to degrade the quality a lot. But I've yet to see that. I might update this video after my tests are done. But I actually read an article. It was by forgot what the site was, but I'll link it down below, on cheap filters actually degrading image quality of your lens. So don't cheap out too much on UV filters. Again, it's an investment. You can sell it when you're done with it. And yeah, so I can't fully recommend using a UV filter for your lenses, because in the end it's all personal choice. It's it's what you believe in. Some people may never drop their lens, and then the UV filter is worth nothing. It wasn't worth anything, but some people will do, and you never know when it's gonna happen. So to me, it's worth it. To you, it might not be, but that's my take on UV filters. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.